Pass the point on.
Ooh, sorry.
Sounded like a bottle.
It's water, you can smell it.
I can smell it over here. It smells like wine.
Congratulations.
It's not warm.
Drinking again.
Is that a Bud Light, Kathy?
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the special meeting of Board of Selectmen,
I always
May
keep it
4th,
interesting.
2022. Would you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would like to welcome a new member of the Board of Selectmen, Mark Parento. He won the election on Monday night. Congratulations, Mark.
Thank
Welcome
you.
to the board.
Thank you.
We have a public comment. Yep. Could you go to the podium and identify yourself?
Sure. My name is Caitlin Guilfoyle. I reside at 4 Cannon Hill Road Extension. I am the special education coordinator at Bagnell School, but I am also a resident of town, and I have 2 children in the school district. To say that I'm disappointed in our town election results regarding the requested override would be an understatement. I have followed the discussion on the topic of the override over the past several months and have been shocked by the consistent spreading of misinformation that undoubtedly impacted our election results. I have also repeatedly heard the sentiment that people support the schools, but now just isn't a good time. I agree that now isn't a good time, but I'd like to tell you a little bit more about who it's not a good time for. It's not a good time to be a 3-year-old who had no access to early intervention services due to the pandemic, and that has left you to walk into preschool nonverbal and lacking any exposure to peers. It's not a good time to be a kindergartner who doesn't remember life before the pandemic and is trying desperately to learn how to be a student, while also learning how to be within less than 3 feet of a peer for the first time in the life that you remember. It's not a good time to be a first grader who is expected to learn how to read, but can't because of the extreme social emotional needs of you or your peers, rendering it nearly impossible to get through a single day without significant behavioral episodes in your class. It's not a good time to be a second grader who is yet to experience a normal school year, but is still held accountable for pre-pandemic early literacy skills and math standards, which I can tell you is nearly impossible. It's not a good time to be a middle school student whose life turned upside down in 5th grade and never quite turned back. And it's certainly not a good time to be a 10th grader who has lost countless hours in the classroom, but is still required to pass state testing requirements in order to earn your diploma. It definitely isn't a good time to be a student, and it hasn't been for quite some time. Kids are struggling. Unfortunately, things just got much worse for the students at Bagnell and in Pentucket. The district is in the process of looking for 16 people to fire, maybe more. Positions, programs, and services will be cut. This will result in higher class sizes, increased student needs, and less opportunities for students. This will eventually and factually lead to lower test scores, more costly out-of-district placements for our special education students, and even less funding. It's a community's responsibility to protect, support, and educate its children. As elected officials of this town, it's your job to advocate for all of our residents, even the ones who are too young to vote. We have all collectively failed. I've heard a lot of things about how voting no on the override would force the district to figure things out and to live within their existing budget. Yes, there are obvious problems with state funding, transportation costs, and other unfunded mandates that won't change by simply requiring administration to figure it out. I do agree that some of these things require a closer look, and improved communication between the schools and towns is necessary. An organized campaign to our legislators would also be nice, but that does not solve the here and now. Right now, good teachers are waiting for their pink slips, and people are applying for positions in other districts that can afford them more security. Schools that have a hard time retaining good teachers struggle to deliver good instruction. The idea that voting down this override will have no consequences is wrong. Our taxpayers may not be paying additional money out of pocket, but this will come at a cost. How is it that our children have ended up paying the price? Moving forward, I urge the members of this board to have frequent and productive communication with school administration, teachers, parents, and the school committee so that we can establish some sort of understanding of each other's needs. We need to problem solve and find solutions together. The best solution here can't be underfunded schools, massive teacher layoffs, and class sizes of 27 or more. A town divided is a town that's set up to fail, and ultimately the people who are going to suffer as a result of this vote are our students. I now ask everyone to consider if we have done enough to help the families and the children of this town. And looking to the future, what more can we do to find a solution that doesn't once again obliterate our schools and put our children absolutely last? Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments? No?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you for speaking so eloquently and so well to the point. I think I posted today that this loss is a two-way street. We're going to be cutting town budgets too, and it's difficult. It's difficult. It's heartbreaking to see how we've come so far, but we are going to have to make steps back. And I agree wholeheartedly with you that more communication and more community work together is what's needed. Myself personally, I saw that there was a lot of misunderstanding about how an increase gets on the tax rate, about whether if your house value goes up $200,000 like houses are soaring in Groveland, well, does that mean my taxes are going up that much? No, that doesn't work like that. If I wanted to charge, a tax rate of $5 per thousand, I could just raise, if I could raise all the valuations in Groveland and make all the houses worth millions, and we'd just be allowed to collect the same amount of money. A tax override does increase the taxes by only by that amount, not by the Zillow forecasted value of your home. And I know that's complicated and difficult to understand. So hopefully over time, this board can work to start to present to the public the debt exclusions. How much are we paying? How is it coming off? When does it come off? How can we manage our taxes and keep it reasonable and make sure that we all understand what we're paying for? It's difficult, and I think you stated it very well from the side of the students, and thank you for speaking for them.
Dan, go ahead.
I advocated for voting no against it, and for several reasons. The budget that was presented to us, it didn't just have teachers in there. It had additional janitors, administrative staff. It had an increase in stabilization funds. This board attempted to compromise with the school committee. I think we offered 3% or close to it, and that wasn't even considered. So I don't know if the position of the school committee was that they have nothing to lose by trying for this, but certainly they did. So there needs to be a dialogue, and there needs to be a compromise solution. I have a triplet 17-year-olds in the high school. They've been in the school district since preschool. I'm well aware of the education within the district, the pros and cons, the pluses and the minuses. I've always requested that they spend more money on books and textbooks and better teaching supplies. They don't. Look at the $41 million budget. Where are the books? So the way they do things, it's foreign to me. I'm told I'm old school. Well, I learned how to read. Went to West Elementary School, and I think they did a great job. Foundational, primary education to me is more important than secondary. You learn to read, and then you read to learn. So they shouldn't be cutting teachers. Maybe they should cut people in the administrative office, and they shouldn't be adding administrative personnel and bureaucrats. So there's more to the story. There's two sides of it. You're right on a lot of points, but there's the other side of the story. No matter how thin the coin, it has two sides. And the school district and what they presented was a kind of a take it or leave it. So we need to open up a dialogue, and we need to be civil about it, and we also need to be respectful of people that are on a fixed income, on Social Security, or limited budgets, and they should not, if you've lived in this town for 5 years or 50 years, you shouldn't have to put a for sale sign on your house. Now, there are some structural problems in the school budget. Last year at town meeting, we voted to allow in-law apartments to be full apartments. So I was told by Greg LeBrecq that we had 2 students that come into our
Order,
district.
Mr. Chairman.
And it cost, no, don't interrupt me, Kathy. And
Hold
it
on,
cost
hold on a
the
minute, Dan. What's your
district
point of order?
$150,000 more.
Dan, hold
Point
on
of
a
order, you have to stop.
What's your point of order?
With all due respect, I think we're a little off topic here.
Because you say
Okay.
so. No, it's a global issue
ahead.
here,
Go
Mr.
ahead,
Chair,
Dan.
with
Go
all
ahead,
due
Dan.
respect. There's a big picture. People look at they can't see the forest from the trees, okay? When you make decisions about adding more housing in town, you add to the school district's financial problems, and people need to realize it, and they don't, they're going to, okay? It is a problem, okay? We don't have limitless revenue sources, so we have to control costs, and part of that has to be controlling growth. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I would suggest that you give that same speech that you just gave to the school committee. And hopefully, the school committee will do the right thing and take some of the costs out of administration, maybe support staff. But I'll tell you what they're probably going to do. They're going to do the teachers. They're going to stick it to the parents. They say, well, you didn't vote for it, so we'll stick it to your kids. So if you do that same speech to them, they take it out of administration costs if they can and support staff and see if they can leave the teachers alone. And I just suggest that you do that.
Here, here.
All right, thank you very much. Nice job. Moving on, approve the minutes of April 11th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. I've reviewed them. They seem accurate.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Mark, you'll abstain. All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 abstention. Appointment of Lindsey Alward of 140 King Street to the Library Board of Trustees through June 30th, 2022. Rebecca, you had a comment on that? Somebody had resigned?
Yes, there was a member of the Library Board of Trustees that resigned back in February, so the position has been vacant, and the chairman had sent over the email that you'll find in the packet recommending that this individual be appointed until the end of the fiscal year, which would be June 30th, 2022.
Thank you. And we have the approval of the chairman of the library trustees, Lee Thomas. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Lindsey Alward of 140 King Street to the Library Board of Trustees through June 30th, 2022.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? None. All in favor? Unanimous. Votes of the board. Special permit application, Groveland Boy Scouts, Troop 87 recycling fundraiser, Saturday, May 7th, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Perry Park. And we have the special application from the Boy Scouts for Perry Park. Approval, all approvals, it looks like. Someone want to make a motion on
I'll
that?
make a motion to approve the special permit. It seems to be in order for the Boy Scouts Troop 87 to have it's a recycling fundraiser, I believe, on May 7th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Good, I've been waiting for one of these again. I got several items to bring down. Any other discussion? None? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Good luck with the Boy Scouts. Field use permit application, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Hoysala Social Sports Club, Hardy Patel Cricket League at 150 Center Street, one-year request.
Mr. Chair, I also have Rennie Carroll, the highway superintendent, on participating via Zoom for any specific questions and to provide some comment about the last year's use.
Okay, we want to hear from Hardy first. Hardy? Sure, you can go to the podium. You did this last year, and you're looking for a renewal of the permit. this year.
Yes. We did it actually a couple of years ago, and we were approved for 3 years.
Before you go, could you just introduce yourself?
Sure. Sorry. My name is Hardy Patel, Groveland resident, also a local business owner in Groveland. We're looking to use the field at Strawberry Field to play cricket. We have been playing cricket for 2 years. We're going on to another year, which will be 3 years. We were told to get the approval again for going forward for this year. So I'm here for the approval for the cricket field, the
Okay.
Strawberry Field.
All right, thank you. Well, why don't you stay there, if we have some questions for you.
Okay.
Rennie, you want to weigh in? You there?
Yes, Ed.
So,
So
go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
the cricket people are more than welcome to use the field. I would like to see Hardy be a little more proactive with the clearing of the field. We had some issues with a dumpster that was left there last year. As we all know, Strawberry Fields is that kind of other hidden gem we have in the town that people would like to use to walk their dogs and really like to keep it clean. So the field use is obviously well welcome. We like to see people using it, but we like to see them using it in a way that, you know, is keeping it clean, keeping it tidy. That's the only thing I would like to see. I know Hardy started this a few years back, and I'm not sure that he's as much of a participant as he was in the beginning. I know he's always the point of contact, and he's always helping clean up. But I think, like I said, you know, they had a dumpster down there. We can't have that. I don't know if there was a porta potty they were trying to drop off, or there's just some things we have to kind of straighten out so we have proper communication, so things run a little smoothly over there than they have in the past. That's all I would like to see.
Can you care to address some of those?
Yes. Sorry for last year. I couldn't spend a lot of time at the field. It was issue with the gate key. I was given the key responsible for the gate key and all. There are times that we lost the key, so we have to cut the gate to use our own locks, and I wasn't told to let the town, the highway department guy about the key exchange and all that. And also, there was an issue with the dumpster because of the gate key wasn't handled correctly. The dumpster guy couldn't get into the field to empty out a dumpster. There were a couple of attempts for him to go in through the gate, but the gate was locked. So that was an issue with the dumpster. But going forward, I'm going to assure that there will be no dumpster at all. After each game, there will be games on the weekend, Saturday, Sundays. It starts around 12 o'clock, 12 p.m. Going forward, I will definitely make sure that there will be no trash at all after the game, Saturday, Sunday. And the only thing I would like is the porta potty, just because the families and kids are, the cricket guys' family do show up, they watch the game. But there's an issue with the gate key that someone could figure it out, or I and Rennie could get together and figure out how we hide the key somewhere near the gate. So going forward in future, there will be no problem if someone have to get in. Just only the authorized people would, except the weekends when we have a cricket guys. And there are home games, so will be other people will travel in and play the game at the Groveland Field.
So, Mr. Chair, Rennie and I had a conversation, and we were thinking, and we would like to recommend that there be conditions associated if the board would like to move forward. One of them being no dumpster, no porta potty, that they absolutely under no condition can cut our locks and replace our locks so that we cannot have access to our property. In addition, that they be charged a fee for use of the property.
Absolutely fine. We can do the fundraise and I'll take care of the field cost if we have to. And I do respect not having a trash, because having trash container, dumpsters, excuse me, it was an issue even to manage the people who plays cricket, and I kind of want to make sure that end of the game they pick up their own trash and they take care of their own trash. That's being said, if they have to bring it home, that's their responsibility to dispose their own trash. As far as the porta potty goes, I would like to have a porta potty just because there are females and little kids. There is not a public bathroom near the field or any other public businesses that would allow people to go use the bathroom. If we could have the porta potty somewhere next to the gate where even the cleanup guy, it would come in every once a week to do the service on a porta potty, so he does not have to go through the gate. Somewhere tucked in near the gate, so that's what I would want to recommend.
Rennie, can you weigh in on that?
I agree and disagree with the porta potty. I do understand there are no facilities there. And I have been by during the cricket league's operations. There is quite a substantial crowd, and as well as the players that are there. It would be totally up to the board if they wanted to allow a porta potty there. This is another, just like the dumpster, it's an invitation for problematic issues down there. So if they are going to have a porta potty, I suggest that they have it locked until they're going to use it, and they lock it when they're done. That is, again, if you guys, as the board, want to allow that, I still would suggest it be locked up when it's not in use. That will kind of, negate the ability for people to vandalize it and cause other issues.
Okay, anybody want to weigh in? Jason, comments?
Is vandalization a problem that they would have down there?
That's directed towards me.
Yeah, for the porta.
So when they had the dumpster there, it opened up people, and I don't know if it was cricket people, I don't know if it was just people driving by. We have had issues with people dumping trash there randomly, here and again, more frequently than we'd like to see. I think when they saw the dumpster there, we had some people drop off mattresses, we had people dropping off buckets and construction material. We went down there and took some pictures late last season, and the trash around the dumpster was enormous. The dumpster was full. Again, there was an issue with the key. I believe Hardy was given a key and then it was lost or mismanaged. Someone had it that wasn't in the league anymore. I don't exactly know the parameters completely, but that locking, them cutting our lock to put a new lock on also is a safety hazard, because if anything happens there, fire and police
Fire,
no longer have access.
It's
So
a huge problem.
that was a big concern of ours as well.
Thank you. Kathy, you got anything?
Yes, I think that, I remember when you came in with the idea of the cricket field, and certainly I think it's, welcome addition to the town if we can get it managed correctly. I think that you need to provide some sort of bathrooms. People are down there. I do not want them finding a place to use as a bathroom down there. Okay, that's another health issue. Certainly want the dumpster or any dumpster to be locked. If it were possible to put any kind of a surveillance on it, I would, just because if we have people dumping things there, we'd like to know. The issue of the key in the gate, I didn't know that we were in the habit of handing out keys to the town facilities. I always thought people came and checked them out. I mean, you could check out at dispatch at the police station and return the key, if that's not too much trouble. I mean, I do that when we used to all have keys for the town hall. Shh. I mean, like a lot of us. But now that's secure. We don't. So when I need to come in here, if I need to get something, I go to the police station and check out the key to come in here, and then I return it so they know. I feel like that would be a better system than starting to hand out keys and running into locks that can't be opened, if that would be all right with you. I think it's nice that you're making use of the field, and if you could pay some small amount to help us a little bit,
Absolutely.
that would be wonderful. But I do think that a bathroom needs to be there. I just don't see how you can have a sporting, family sporting event there and not provide some kind of a facility. I would think the Board of Health would have something to say about that. So I'd like to approve it, but I'd like to approve it with some conditions, that the dumpster's locked, there's a bathroom there, the bathroom is locked, and that the key is secured at the police station for checking in and out, if that would work, unless our town administrator has something better planned.
I think, Kathy, you said we're going to eliminate the dumpster.
Oh, you don't need a dumpster.
I would actually appreciate if you don't have the dumpster there.
That's fine by me. Take your,
If any future problem or any trash issue, we can completely stop playing and using the field
okay.
as if he make any mistakes, but I guarantee you there will be no trash issue going forward.
Great.
But
Good.
absolutely no dumpster. So I want to make the guys' own responsibility to clean up and dispose your own trash.
But you would like to rent a portable pod?
Yes,
yeah.
that I would.
And if that could be locked? I think
Yes,
that would
yes.
be
We'll
good.
put a little number locked on it, format thing, whatever. I would give up the codes to other
the-
teams.
And to the police station?
And for the
Yeah.
gate, I'm sorry, for the gate lock, if you could handle it, I don't know how, or someone could, because the year before it was perfect, we had no issue at all, is someone would open it for us and would close it. If someone would come in on Saturday from the town and they would take care of it and closing it. That being said, I mean, everyone's busy. I can't expect someone to be there and open it for us and close it for us. But if we could have or figured it out how to take care of the key for the access to the gate. 'Cause
Right.
there is also there will be a lawnmower guy that was gonna cut the grass, because playing cricket there, we need to cut the grass every 10 days or so,
Yeah.
every week or so, sometimes every 2 weeks or so, depending on the rain and the grass grows.
Right.
So if he could the whole problem started with the gate and the key.
So if the key were at the police station, they're open all day, all night. It's so easy.
That would be great. That we can make the attempt to go pick the key up and drop it off as soon as we done.
Correct, yes.
I like the idea, or we could have the key somewhere hidden next to the gate if,
Yeah, the kids
If-
will find
no.
it.
yeah.
Mark?
So I got a real quick question, Rennie. Is there a way we could get a commercial grade combination lock so everybody knows the 4 digits, types it in, then you don't have to worry about a key?
Key or anything.
So, can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
So that, I don't know if you remember that lock, it's one of those long, weird locks. They just don't make combination locks that have that super long arbor on it. You remember how weird that gate is? You have
Yes.
to have like the elongated type of lock.
Could
I
we,
guess if we could find one, it's a potential, but I kind of agree with Kathy. I didn't think of the PD, they can easily come down to PD, sign the key out, and get the key, use it, and then when they're done, drop the key off. I mean, Hardy lives in the town, it wouldn't be an inconvenience for him or someone local to do it for him.
Absolutely, I like the idea of it, so that way it gets recorded. If any issues or any
Right.
off-weekend issues, we're not responsible for it. I kind of like the idea. Picking key up at the station and then dropping it off.
May I ask him one more question? Just one?
Well, we got,
Just one quick question.
as soon as we got you can follow up as soon as, Mark, you're done?
No,
Dan,
that was
Dan,
it.
you got anything?
Just keep it clean and absolutely have porta potties there, and I don't understand if the dumpster's behind the gate and the lock gate, why there's mattresses there. Was it on the outside of the gate or the inside?
Actually, with the mattress issue, I don't know if you guys noticed it or not, but someone even made the comment on Facebook. Town crier was saying this is same that someone kept the mattress on side of the road, and our cricket guys actually felt bad, picked it up, brought it by the dumpster, but the dumpster was full at the time. Even when I was told to get rid of the mattress, and I evenly went there myself, used my buddy's truck, picked it up and throw it away at the end of the season.
It's not your fault.
But I kind of wanted to because I was responsible for it and I was told to do it, so I had to do it.
Appreciate it. But, Mr. Chair, as long as they have porta potties and they resolve their lock issue, and you can put up little signs if you want to, it's like the camping rule. You bring it in, you bring it out.
Yeah,
You know, keep the place clean. I'm all for it. Thank you.
thank you.
Kathy, you want to follow up?
Well, I know when you first started this out, and I never got down to see the game, but do you have a set schedule that you could have us put on our town website so that?
Yes, I do have the schedule for the whole season.
That'd be
If you
great.
guys want, I could forward it to
Rebecca,
Rebecca. Yes,
that'd be wonderful. I'd like to see it, yeah.
absolutely. It's fun.
Yep.
Anybody else? How long does the game last?
It depends on how good you are. if you
Well, a
it-
game
not
that
everyone's-
you're in,
Usually, I play for the upper division, so it lasts about 7 hours, 6 hours.
oh, so you're probably on the pretty good side?
Yeah. I try the best, but yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic.
There
Well,
was,
do we make a motion to approve this?
well, there was a suggestion by Rennie and by the town administrator about a rental fee.
Right.
Do we want to talk about that?
Do we have a number?
So we were looking at what West Newbury charges, which is $5 an hour per use of the field, or just giving like a flat fee of $25 a week for the length of the use of the field. And then also they asked for 1 year, and their season should end in the fall, so we'd rather a more specific time date of the fall.
Can you address that?
Yes. Yes, any fee, we're up for it. And I'll forward the schedule for the season ends, but usually ends in end of October if the playoffs are there. And any of the home team made the playoffs, then they have to use the field for the home games type. And if nobody made the playoffs, we could be done in September, end of September.
Okay.
And then
Jason, you had a comment?
Yeah, on all of our new forms, it's got the fees right here for an adult league field use. I think if we just follow that, it's $25 per team per game. So it'd be $50 each time that they had a game. I think that's reasonable.
Okay, anybody else? Anybody want to make a motion?
So we're just gonna follow this form, and I'm gonna allow the portable potty as long as it's locked.
Please.
So we'll approve this contingent on the fee that's already on this form. Do you understand the fee that we just read?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. So I'll make a motion to approve this. Glad you're back. And to allow for the use of a porta potty, and that the key will be held at the dispatch at the police station to be checked out.
Thank you.
The
So,
motion's a
is that-
second?
I'll second that.
Motion and a second, further discussion? None, all in favor? Unanimous. Thank you,
Thank you.
Marty.
Thanks. We'll
Good
see you
luck.
down there.
Discussion and possible vote. Thank you, Rennie, for weighing in. Discussion, possible vote. Review draft of the town meeting warrant.
So, Mr. Chair, the only change to the warrant is really the omnibus, which is the printout that you have before you. The Board of Selectmen had made favorable recommendations for all of the other warrant articles. So the only additional edits would come in the form of the omnibus, and that would be because of the override failing. The revenue numbers now do not include that additional money, and therefore the town will need to come up with those additional funds in order to cover the operation of the town, in addition to any proposed assessment historically, the town has provided a 3% increase to the Pentucket school assessment for the last few fiscal years. The last FY '22, the town provided a little bit over a 5% increase to that assessment, which is kind of one of the reasons that we find ourselves in this current situation. So if we remove the override figure and add a 3% and cover a 3% assessment for the Pentucket School District, the town will need to come up with $105,000. And so before you'll see recommended cuts to the budget that was approved by the Board of Selectmen at their last meeting to come up with that additional figure. So that additional $105 balancing the budget, allowing us to put that as part of our warrant.
Now, what are these, you're referring to what's in parentheses on the right?
The last comment, the last column, it says votes, town vote. So those would be the figures, and the reduced amount would be the last column with those in parentheses. So you can see how much was subtracted from each line item.
Okay. Anybody with questions, comments?
Mr. Chair, I have comments.
Go ahead.
I think we find ourselves in this situation because of, not because of anything to do with the override, but simply because in the last year, we split the finance director position into two positions, a town treasurer and a TA position, and we also hired a town planner. We added more than $100,000 in payroll, and we never had the money in the budget to afford it. So now what we're doing here, because we hired people without funds, we're forced to cut $105,000 out of other services within the town. And I think it's important that the people in Groveland know exactly what's going on here. We create our own problems, and then we react to them and we rationalize them in ways that simply aren't true. We spent more money than we could in the last year, and then we're in this predicament, and it is mutually exclusive from the failure of the Prop 2.5 override. It's got nothing to do with it.
Kathy?
Yes, I'm going to absolutely rebut that remark, and I'm going to point out that each and every step along the way, when we have replaced positions, we have eliminated other positions, we have consolidated positions, and we have allowed a reasonable amount of growth in the staffing of the town hall. But what we did that was incorrect, and it's always 20/20 hindsight, was during the time when we were without a finance director and we were awaiting the work that would bring a town administrator to us, we did spend excessive funds on a consultant treasurer and on additional stipends to existing positions, and when all was said and done, it kind of helped us get through, but it was a lot of money, and I look back and say, I wish we had paused at the beginning of that as the pandemic was hitting, and perhaps done a better job managing that outflow of money, because that certainly has reduced our free cash certification significantly. The positions that we have in this town hall, similar to other small towns, are critical, essential positions. We have many offices that are just one-person offices, and it needs to be understood that we have always been one of the lowest paying towns around on most positions. We've been fortunate to get really talented folks who kind of fall in love with this little town and stay with us, which is good for us. But make no mistake that Proposition 2.5 plus new growth allows for about maybe $500,000 additional money to our budget, which is about $20 million, $17 million of which is funded through the tax rate. We don't get a lot of government funding or anything like that. It's based on taxes. The Finance Board is very frugal. The Board of Selectmen has always been very frugal. We work diligently and deliberately. And the evolution of positions that we've created has kept pace with an increasingly complex market and a complex planning function in our town. New growth is hitting us hard, and we need to have our own expert on board to protect and maintain our town and its inherent beauty. And we used to just run on all volunteer boards. And we didn't have anybody full-time. We had maybe a part-time secretary to take minutes, but our boards, which are volunteer, need access to qualified people to get advice so that we don't end up in lawsuits, which we did years ago. I've been here over 30 years, and I've seen where we were, and I've seen the cost of these lawsuits, and I know that we're doing the right things right now with our staffing. I know that we have good people. I know that it's not costing that much on your tax dollar. So that's not why we are where we are, okay, today. Can we do better? Yes. Are we going to try to do better? Yes. Are we trying to bring in more businesses? Yes, okay. We are working on everything, okay, but don't play the blame game here. It's time for us to work together, work collaboratively, value the people we have, value the schools that we have, and most of all, at the end of a pandemic, let's just be grateful we're all still here, because not everybody is. Okay, we lost a teacher in my school. Okay, so at some point you have to pause, hit the pause button here, and realize that we're in a difficult financial situation. The state views us as a more affluent town all of a sudden, but we really don't have the money. It's just our homes are worth more. You know, the money tree doesn't fall, the money from your home doesn't fall into the town hall. The taxes are controlled by the law. And we do have a very small staff here. So we're trying very diligently to make considered cuts. We've cut all the stipends. I'm okay with that. I volunteer for the town. Cutting expenses. I think people have spent a lot of time coming up with reductions to the town side of things that will still protect the services to the people and also protect our essential functions of finance, planning, health, assessing, and our town clerk office. So please don't go looking for someone to blame here.
Jason?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest contributing factors to what put us into this situation was the increase to the school from the previous year. It was going to be an additional $250,000 above our regular increase. And that money was supposed to be given back to us through ESSER funds. The ESSER funds were originally guaranteed by the governor. I believe it was approved by the Senate and then shot down by the House. And we went through this system twice, and it was shot down twice. Fortunately, the school was able to make some cuts and change that figure to $118,000, which we paid by taking it out of our stabilization. And because we took it out of our stabilization, we weren't prepared for it this year. And that's where I think a majority of that $100,000 increase that we just cut out of our expenses came from.
Mark, anything? No. Dan?
Yeah, in terms of the budget, I think we shouldn't cut services. If we have to hit $100,000, it should come out of stabilization once again. Hate to hit the piggy bank, but we have $1.8 million in there, something like that, you know? And we gotta be more disciplined. We have automatic increases of 2.5%. Most people in town have cost of living COLA adjustments of 2%. So we need that half a point for wiggle room. And we need to make sure that we use it properly, that half a point, for some things you can't control that are outside of your control. If health costs go up, insurance, you can't control that sort of thing. So we need that. Yes, he's correct that, you know, we got hit with $111,000 last year. That was kind of blindsided everybody from the state on some sort of formula adjustment. Beacon Hill flip-flops all the time. You know, they're not funding the transportation bill at the school department, and that's a big problem. So everyone needs to get involved and call your legislators. But I don't think we can cut services. My goal is to maintain the status quo as best as we can, maintain stability in hard times. We're $100,000 short, and I think if we have to, we had stabilization for the 105 and not cut the budget.
Ruth, did you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I'd like to make one comment regarding
Can
where
you just identify yourself?
Thank you. I'm Ruth Rivard. I live at 6 Berrywood Lane in Groveland, and I chair the Finance Board. So I think one of the ways that we really ended up in the position that we're in now goes back to, as Jason alluded to, the school budget. Traditionally, in all of the school, I went through the last many, every budget book I had, I went through, and I summarized for myself the last 5 years. And traditionally, in all the documentation, we shoot for a 3% annual increase in the operating budget for the school. And it's been roughly that, a little more. Well, in 2019, we ended up paying a 3.25%. 2020, it was over 3.5%. Then it was a little less than 3%. But in 2022, the increase to our operating budget for the school was 5.25%. That's on a $10 million base. So our increase to the school budget, we ended up taking some of it out of stabilization, but this was, there was 250, they cut some, we ended up coming up with 100, but the total increase net for the year last year was $500,000. Traditionally, it's been somewhere closer to $300,000. So for our town, after we pay 65% of our budget, our entire town budget, to education, to all the schools that we work with, we don't have the 35% of our budget that we have left. A $200,000 hit on that is a lot. That $200,000 extra that we paid last year is embedded in this year's formula. If you level funded our operating budget from Metucket this year, there would be last year's extra 2%, since we paid 5.25% increase last year. And then we shot for the override, or the school requested the override. So if we go back to 3%, which is what we are telling the school that we're able to come up with, it still includes that extra 200 for last year. And that's, I think, where we have to make the $100,000 in cuts in order to give the school a 3% operating budget increase this year. And I feel for the school. I have kids in the school. I understand that they have to make some cuts. I hope it's not all to teacher classrooms. I'd be happy. I wish that we could have more ongoing dialogues with the school. I'd like to see that going forward so that we can all really show we made $100,000 worth of cuts. And if you look at our budget, there's nowhere else to make cuts without cutting services. We really, I feel every aspect of the town gave back every penny that we could. And I know it's difficult for the school. It's also difficult for the town. But it really stems to me to what happened last year. And that was not all that transparent, just because there was a lot of things going on last year. We had an interim finance director. We had COVID. All of our meetings were remote. We were supposed to get the ESSER funds. After town meeting, those were retracted. So there was just a lot of moving parts. But last year's budget is what the trouble stems from. Thank you.
Anybody got any questions for
Mr.
Ruth?
Chair?
Yep.
Okay. We offered 3%, right? I'm not so sure we can do that if we're forced to cut.
Well, the 3% that we offered includes that budget you have before you.
Yeah, in light of what they presented to us with the increase to their stabilization and what I call soft costs, if they gave us a budget with nothing but school teachers, okay, and buses, I'd support it. But that's not what we got. I don't want to cut 16 teachers, but I don't. Their bill wasn't the status quo. It was expansionary in a time when we might have a recession, okay? They wanted to go up 8%. They wanted to go up $9 million over 3 years, $9 million on a $41 million budget. Not happening, folks, not feasible. It'll break people, okay? So until they go first, I want to go back to 2.5%. I don't even want to give them the 3. Let them show good faith and come back with teachers, special ed teachers, take care of the kids first, and then talk about helping the superintendent out within his office. I mean, I'm upset with what they did. I think it's a little autonomous collective over there, and they're out of touch with people. That's how upset I am about it. Take care of the teachers. There was money in that budget with 3% for the teachers and the buses. Okay? So as far as I'm concerned, for me, 3%'s off the table. We're back to 2.5, which is our levy max.
For me, the starting point is that we just hopefully can sit down and have a productive discussion of both sides and maybe make some progress together. I think we need to have that collaboration, but I don't disagree with any of it.
I'm willing to,
Yep,
but they got to focus on needs, not wants.
yep.
Kathy? comment?
Okay, so I took the time to go to the school committee meeting last night in hopes that I could get a little more information. And as it turns out, they did put the budget on. They did not make a decision, but I did learn, I believe they have reduced, taken away some positions that they were planning to add in the administrative end. I think that they are working towards trying to avoid cutting teachers, but honestly, the budget, the Pentucket school budget is, I believe, almost 80% staffing. I mean, they're an academic high school. I work at a VOTEC school, so I know the difference in the money, where the money is. And I also want to speak a little bit to the comment that was made by Caitlin at the beginning of this meeting, having, taught throughout the pandemic and seeing the aftermath on the students. There is a definite need for the increase in support services in the schools right now for this generation of students that is coming back to school after not being in school and making that transition. It's their world stopped in a day, and then all of a sudden they might have been at home and never in school, and suddenly they're in first grade. Oh my God, and so I think that the school is trying very hard to protect those aspects of their budget in making these decisions. So what some might call administrative might be directly connected to these essential critical student services. I know that, I believe there's a human resources position that's been taken off, and I think they're not hiring some other things already. I mean, I took a lot of notes. They were talking about reducing $1.4 million, I believe, overall. $1.4 million is a lot of money that they're taking out. I'm not saying, let me rephrase that. They are not necessarily taking that out, but that was a topic that was brought up because that would equate to what the town of Merrimack has already voted to appropriate. And now this is where the school committee is struggling as to whether or not, what are the other scenarios they can look at. And again, I think that we should hold off on using our stabilization at this point, and if we can tighten our belt and give up some things without impacting services to residents, it will help recover from what Jason and Ruth have referred to, which is that ESSER funds that was given to us, said, hey, this will help you meet it. And it should be explained, the reason that those were given, it made a lot of sense. The state changed the funding formula, and all of a sudden our percentage of the minimum contribution to Pentucket went up far more than 2.5%. And so they recognized that and said, okay, for towns that are seeing this impact from this change in our formula, we'll allow you to use the ESSER funds to help meet your obligations to your school budget. It made sense. Everybody said it was going to hold. Senators, we called, we checked, all the way through June. It was there and then gone sometime in July or August. The rug pulled out from under us, and now we need to face the harsh reality that on the town side, we have to do something. We have to make some amount of reduction to set ourselves up for the next few years, just like the school is doing. We're going to have to. And I think that's where we're at. Unless there's some miracle from the state and they step in, I don't see the point in going into our reserves right now unless there's a critical service that we're going to lose. And from what I saw sitting in on the budget meeting with the finance board, the reductions aren't what we want, but we can live with them. We can still deliver our services. So I would be in favor of the work that Rebecca, I know our town administrator, has been working well into the night. If you see a light on in this town hall past 9 at night, that's who's there. It used to be Nancy Lewandowski, now it's Rebecca Oldham, burning the midnight oil. And the Finance Board, I know, has been working tirelessly to reviewing all these documents. They have far more time to do it than the Board of Selectmen, so I do rely on their good judgment and their eyes and their knowledge to help us make a decision. So I would support what's being recommended right now for the omnibus.
Anybody else? I would suggest, I know transportation costs for the school buses has skyrocketed. Do you ever go down to the school in morning and see the buses going in, and in the afternoon seeing the buses going out? And what I'm talking about is sometimes you're seeing no more than 10 kids on a bus. I think they could do a lot more consolidating some of the routes. And when you see the buses coming out with 5, 6, 7, 8 kids on them, it's a full-size bus. They could change the routes and fill the buses up. They could save some money there. Go down there in the morning and park across at the restaurant across the street. Watch those buses coming in. You got a great view there, and see just how many of those are near empty buses. Go down to the Bagnell School in the morning, and I know that was corrected a little bit, but there's still buses that are going in there with too few children on them. You don't want the kids on the bus too long, but I think some money can be saved there on the buses, consolidating some of the routes. And I urge you to go down there in the morning and in the afternoon and watch those buses coming out. And I think you're going to be amazed at too few kids on those buses. Anybody else? Comments? Go ahead, Kathy.
I'm hoping that we're going to vote in favor of what they're recommending, but on top of that, I did want to throw out there that since the school committee is meeting on Tuesday, the 10th, if we wanted to construct amongst our whole board some type of a letter, be glad to bring it to them, and I'd be glad to add on that you would like them to look at transportation and any ability to consolidate, because it does save teaching positions if they can. I think that's a perfectly valid request. If anybody else has other requests that they want the school committee to look at that are
Anybody got
kinda
any other
reasonable?
that they want the school committee to look at? Jason?
No.
Dan?
Issues?
Yeah, issues that you want the school committee to look
Specific
at.
to this year's budget adjustments, I think is
That
what.
they
state-
prioritize and they triage their budget and they maintain every effort to keep all the teachers, okay? If we maintain the status quo on teachers and offered them 3%, I don't know why they couldn't just pay the bill on the salaries. It makes no sense to me, okay?
So
If you have the
specific-
same people as last year and you give them all 3% pay raises, it seems like 3% would cover the bill. So there has to be something else in the mix besides the teachers. So I think it's a scapegoat routine. It's a way to just try to vilify the people that voted no, and it's wrong. I want them to focus on teachers and buses. That's my answer, repetitively.
Mark, you have anything to add?
No.
Want to, go ahead,
Yeah,
Kathy.
I just, I think your thought, Selectman McDonald, to focus on teachers is critical, but it's not just the teachers in the building that got the 3%. The special education costs, which are outside of the control of the school, completely outside of the control of the school, go up more than 3%. And just like our town insurance went up more, 6%? Their health insurance costs went up more than 3%. And then the double whammy was not only do they not get reimbursed on the transportation aid like they're supposed to, but then they went out to bid on transportation, and for some reason, that was a shocker to them that went up a lot. So they have as delicately balanced a budget as we do. It's a tight rope, it's like walking on a tightrope between the two of us. But I think, we should tell them, that we want to work with them. We want them to keep every effort to keep the teachers. I know that they are talking about possibly if an elementary teacher is reduced, that a class size could increase by as many as 10 students, which is alarming for young students that age. It's alarming. I'm hopeful we can avoid that type of action, but I don't know. So is there anything else that you want to say to them?
Anybody, I think we've come up with about everything.
If I could respond, I want to talk to Kathy Castrodellis here, Selectwoman.
Yes.
You said I was off topic, but you touched upon the point and you reinforced my argument that, yes, the special education costs are up, and I spoke with Greg LeBrecq on Election Day outside, and 2 new students moved in, and we outsourced them out of the district, and it cost the district $150,000, and it was directly related to the change in the apartments in this town. So people can't just bury their heads in the sand. If you're going to expand housing in town, you're going to expand the school budget. It's on point. And yes, special education is a burden. We need our legislatures to get the special needs budget paid for through a mechanism similar to insurance, mass health or something like that. Teachers should teach. We shouldn't get medical bills with nurses and doctors and all the other ancillary charges that go with the special education. Those are all budget busters. They have what's called a circuit breaker where they pick up 75% over a certain amount. But it's not enough. It kills our budget and we get blindsided. You could have 10 special needs kids come into the district and they have rights and they deserve benefits. I'm not against that, but the formula financially is a backbreaker for small towns and small districts like us. So they can move in. We can't take care of their needs within the district, so we outsource them to Boston or some other place and we get a bill for $100,000. That's got to stop. We need Bruce Tarr on this. These guys got to get off their hands and do something for the people in the district.
You happen to just only be looking at me. You know that's not, it's a coincidence that you're looking at me. That's not directed to me. This is
It's
our
not directed to you, it's
collective
directed
issue.
to the
It's
people of
directed
Groveland,
to
that
the
we're
people
all
in the school
interconnected
and-
here, and there's complexities to these
Right.
issues. We all like to look at things simplistically, like we can isolate transactions. We can't.
Right.
There has to be an oversight and an interaction. That there's a push and pull going on here, and everything we do has a ripple effect, and the ripple effect's breaking our budget. That's all I want people to understand. It's not just simply we hired too many teachers or we got too many kids. There's more to it than that. It's a little bit more complex than that.
And I think we all have a lot of good ideas, and I think we all have a lot of questions. Maybe there's valid answers, maybe there's progress that we can make, maybe they can understand our side a little bit more. So that's just where I think we need to have more conversations, maybe a subcommittee that we can get together and answer some of these questions on an ongoing basis, because I would like to think that we can work collaboratively with the school much more than we have. I feel like the two processes have been very disjointed. I have a lot of questions. I've done a lot of work, and I don't know what to do with my findings. So I would like to be able to work with them more, and I think we need to see if we can put that together. But that'll be going forward. As of right now, we need to deal with the budget before us.
Okay, do you want to draft a letter?
I do. I do want to point out, though, it's not just, when I talk about, I guess I should rephrase better, it's services to our students coming out of a pandemic. We can't just pretend like it's school as usual. The students are coming back, and there is noticeable learning loss, anxiety, concerns for our students. And anybody who works in a school or is a parent at home is seeing this. It's real, it's not imaginary, it's not there, it's there, and it's going to need to be addressed, and it's going to cost money. It's going to cost money to support the school children of this town coming out of this pandemic. And I know that the tax override was turned down, and we will live with that this year, we will deal with it. But going forward, I think there has to be an intelligent discussion about the relationship between Proposition 2.5 and taxes, and the understanding that the town is frugal, we watch every penny. I can tell you right now, this town administrator, she's all over everything, looking over everything and keeping track and making sure that your dollars are well spent and protected. So we have people in charge, we have an account, we have a treasurer, we have people watching the money. But at some point, when you need an additional service, when you decide you want to have full-time, daytime fire coverage, you need to understand that The tax rate needs to go up a little to absorb that because we don't have staff to lay off. You can walk around this town hall, there's 1 or 2 people in every room. That's it. That's the whole town government. And if you start to cut that out, I think you're going to see this town degrade. It won't be the town that you're seeing right now. We've come really far with a lot of volunteerism without spending a lot of money. I'm so proud of it. And I know we're looking at new revenue sources, so we're working to keep the taxes down, but I want us to have intelligent discussions about the tax rate and about services that are meaningful, okay? So that we can support things in this town and not divide the town into, you have kids, your kid gets special needs, so we don't want to pay that. I don't feel like that. I feel like we're a community, we're in this together, and we should work together.
Okay, how do you want to proceed?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the omnibus as recommended by the Finance Board and our town administrator.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second, further discussion? None? Ready for a vote? All in favor? 3 in favor, opposed?
Opposed.
1 opposed.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question about the articles that we previously voted on?
Sure.
So on Article 13, which had to do with businesses being allowed to have an apartment above as a way to earn a little extra money and also have somebody on site of their building. Again, that meeting, that was my first kind of look at that and listening to our building inspector speak about it. I did take some time. I did think about it some more. I know we split the vote. It was 2-2, and Selectman O'Neill is no longer here. Typically, Robert's rules would be that somebody on the prevailing side would have to make a motion to allow us to revisit that article and just discuss it again, so that would only be you. Otherwise,
Sure, go, you want to discuss it, go ahead.
Well, would you make a motion to?
I'll make a motion that we take up Article 13 of the town warrant for further discussion.
I'll second that.
Okay, go ahead, you want to start?
Well, yeah, so when I first saw it, I thought, oh, yeah, are they trying to pull a fast one or something? I don't know a lot about zoning. And then, you know, I read some comments on the town crier from one of the businesses that had brought it to our building inspector's attention. And I thought more about the fact that we already do have apartments above businesses in the industrial zone that were grandfathered in. And if I'm understanding what was presented to us, this wouldn't be a free-for-all, this would be a special permit process, so that a business could apply for the special permit, and then they would have to show what they want to do, what they want to build, and get it approved. I mean, as long as it's something that's controlled and reviewed and not just, sure, go do what you want. I want to encourage our businesses to build their companies here in our town. I don't want to lose them to a town that would allow that. And I think that no vote might be perceived as an anti-business vote, and we need to build our commercial base on our taxes. So I also thought a lot about, well, the person there would be living in the apartment. They're not really being paid. I misunderstood. They're not going to be paid to be a security guard. They're going to rent the apartment to somebody. But because the business is empty at night, they feel that it would add a little security to have someone living upstairs, so that somebody came around that empty building, the renter would call the police or something, and it would help. So I thought maybe we should reconsider and vote to support this on the town meeting floor, to encourage, like Daniels is building that new building on Salem Street. I think that's probably why the request was made, because they're building a nice big building for Daniels, and they're going to think, well, maybe if we put apartment upstairs, we can rent the apartment, get us a little rental income. It helps keeps business afloat. I think it sounds like an okay idea.
Dan, you weren't at that meeting.
You weren't there, yeah.
No, but if I may, Mr. Chair?
Sure.
When
Go
you're
ahead.
ready. I mean, it's deja vu. It's the same issue of changing the use of the in-law apartments to preserve family, and now we're going to add more accessory dwellings. and you can't discriminate against children. So you bring more children into the district, and up goes the school budget. So you can't discriminate against families. It's against federal and state law, and it should be. But we need slow, sustainable growth on our expansion of dwelling units, and we shouldn't just willy-nilly keep adding them. I like our building inspector, but he was at our town meeting last year, and he talks about helping out the housing crisis and affordable housing. Well, we get to pay for those people. Two units added $150,000 to the school budget in the last year because of what happened at a vote at town meeting last year. What you say is off point is absolutely on point, like a nail with a hammer banging it, okay? It cost the district $150. Greg's not here to defend himself. He's my source of information. It cost the district $150,000 because of what Groveland did with our accessory apartments, and now we're gonna do the same thing with businesses. I have a business in Danvers. I don't live there, even though I'm there 80 hours a week sometimes. I feel like I'm living there. Sometimes I'm there more than I'm home. But we don't need to help businesses out in any way by allowing them to live where they work, okay? Come here, make money, go home. But it's not a rationale, in my opinion, that's a deal breaker for any business, whether or not they want to locate someplace. Primarily, a business is focused on tax rates and regulations and whether or not you're going to red tape them to death and tell them what they can and can't do. That's what businesses care about most. Just leave them alone and let them make a buck. Don't worry about the apartments. Let them make money. They get their housing on Marblehead Neck or something. They'll be fine.
It's
Jason,
fine.
you have anything?
Yeah, the apartments were designated to be small, 750 square foot, if I'm not mistaken.
900 feet, or he said he could make it smaller.
Yes, because I had recommended making them one bedroom.
Yes, he said he
Because
would do
one
that.
bedroom wouldn't be conducive for a family. It wouldn't be discrimination because it would be a caretaker's unit, just to keep somebody above the business. So, like Fadi has a lot of people going in and cutting off catalytic converters, they'd be less likely to do that with somebody living there. And that is the point of having them there. To get businesses in this town, it's a very large stone. It's going to take an awful lot to get it rolling. And this is just one small step to get it rolling. And that's why I was for adding them.
Thank you. Kathy, you had a rebuttal?
Yeah, so, I was gonna say, it was a maximum of 900 square feet, and the building inspector, he said he was open to reducing it to a one-bedroom unit. And I just have to say this, I called a point of order because you seem to be progressing beyond the Groveland issue, Selectman McDonald, and I'll say this again, only one time tonight. I think that the sharing of privileged information about the educational needs of children is not legal. I don't think this Board of Selectmen should be discussing the status of school children in our town or where they
Costs.
live.
It's taxpayer money.
It's not legal.
Can you
It's
get to the point, Kathy?
It's confidential information, and it's not supposed to be discussed between any parties except the parents and the school who their child attends. And I don't see where anybody would be discussing this kind of topic in a parking lot with anybody. Okay, I work in a school, and I don't discuss anything like that outside of the confidential agreement in the school building. So I would like to ask this board to please respect the confidential nature of school children in our town and to stop talking about where they live or how many of them there might be.
Rebecca, just, I think you got the wrong one here. The warrant articles.
It's Article 13.
I think you got the wrong one. I think you have the original. You
Oh,
just
they-
handed out the original.
I might have the other ones. I have it on,
Dan, do you have that? What article do you have there?
Talking about.
Article 13 is the one I'm talking about.
Yes. Rebecca,
So that was, remember at the
Oh, you
meeting,
renumbered.
we renumbered them.
Okay, so I might-
This takes into consideration everything the Board of Selectmen
14.
did. So we removed the override vote, we had the Council on Aging that was added, and we had to reconfigure the numbers.
So
So the
it's
one that Kathy is talking about specifically is under Article 14 and Article 15. So
Thank
they just
you.
dropped the
Okay.
number. My
14.
apologies.
Yeah.
That's all right. No, that's me.
yeah,
I
this,
didn't-
this one that you,
Thank you.
uh,
Article 14 and 15. Okay.
this, yeah, this one is correct.
So if we
Okay.
reduce it to one bedroom?
I think the building inspector said he was receptive to some changes in that. Does somebody want to make a motion to
Right.
limit it to one bedroom?
I would like to make a motion to approve Article 14 as written, with the change that it would be one bedroom. And so if you want, I can just read it really quick. It would be, to see if the town will vote to amend its zoning bylaw to add the definition of caretaker's unit to Section 50-2.1, terms defined, or take any action relative thereto. A caretaker's unit is defined as an accessory dwelling unit constructed in or attached to a principal business or industrial use structure, which unit has a separate kitchen, separate bathroom, 2 separate entrances, a floor area of less than 1/2 the floor area of the principal occupancy's square foot, up to a maximum of 900 square feet of habitable area, has 1 bedroom, and which is occupied primarily by person or persons and their family who are employed in part to either to care for, monitor, repair, or maintain the principal use structure. That's Article 14 with the 1-bedroom change on it.
Okay, in the form of a motion, is there a second on that?
I'll second that.
Motion and a second, further discussion? Dan, you got anything?
I oppose it. I've said enough.
Mark? I don't have anything. Kathy?
No, I think it's it says they're even going to be employed in part, I forgot about that, to either care for, monitor, repair, or maintain the principal use structure. So they are kind of part of the business as well, which is good.
Okay. Jason, nothing else? Okay, we'll take a vote. All in favor? Opposed? 4 in favor, 1 opposed. Thank you.
And then do we need to vote Article 15 as well, or is that important? Or is that, do we already, because we turned them both down, I thought.
Oh, we should have did that the same as we did last time, Article 14, 15 together.
Okay, but I didn't.
Make the motion, I'll support it.
What's the
Okay.
motion, Jason?
I'll make a motion to approve Article 15, which reads to see if the town will vote to amend its zoning bylaw, Section 50-4.5, Table of Uses, to include the accessory use of a caretaker's unit in the form or take any other action relative thereto.
Second that.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? None. All in favor? Opposed? 4 in favor, 1 opposed. That should be it on the warrant articles. If anybody had any questions?
Is that our agenda?
Uh,
I think we have to vote to post the warrant?
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Is there a special language for that vote, or just?
we're still on drafting the meeting warrant. That's the next on the agenda.
Oh,
You want to finish that? If there's any other questions on the warrant, on the meeting warrant for us, then we'll go to that.
okay.
Nobody got anything else?
No.
Next, the vote to oppose the annual town meeting warrant. Motion?
So I make a motion to post the annual town meeting warrant for Monday, May 23rd, 2022 at 6:30 PM, and to include the vote of the board on the articles and the omnibus as we did tonight.
Second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? None. All in favor? Unanimous?
With reservations.
With reservations. I knew that. It was a slow yes.
Qualified yes, for the record.
Selectmen's time and reports. Dan, you got anything?
Yeah, just want to follow up on maybe see what we can do to get more sports community activities on cable. If we can get that dialogue going, appreciate that. Maybe we can get some cricket games on there too. But, you know, I'd like people to come forward, maybe they want to do some community auditions or something, you know? It'd be nice to see, you know, something on there other than, you know, my face reruns every 3 hours, you know, arguing over money. I mean, there's got to be more to life in Groveland than that. So if people got some talents, some kids, some adults, whoever you are, you want to come forward, maybe we can get them on local access TV, get some magicians, some, I don't know.
I know they did.
Anybody.
They did the opening day of the Little League. They did the opening day parade. Did you do some games too? Start of the games? No, just the parade itself? Okay.
And-
So,
yeah.
when's that gonna be on? Any idea?
I messaged Chris, I'm just waiting we're waiting for the graphics itself to be up in that day.
Okay.
Should be today. Fingers crossed.
I'm sorry, what was that?
It should be today.
Today? Oh, so that would be nice. The opening day parade for the Groveland Little League, they did do the opening day parade. That should be on, and we're working on that, Dan.
All right, good, but
Kathy, you got anything?
one other thing, Mr. Chair, if I could.
Yeah, go ahead.
We need more revenue in town as we go back and forth on every issue, it seems like. So we paid $3,625,000 plus interest for Center Street, AKA Strawberry Fields. I think if there's any interest, I think there should be maybe a committee to explore options on how we can generate some revenue with that. It's, as far as I know, zoned for some type of businesses, whether it's industrial use or not. I know there's aquifer concerns, and that's why it was purchased in part to protect the water resources in town, which is important. But if there's a way to have minimal impact and generate some revenue over there, I think we should explore that, and maybe that would help pay for the school budget and some other important things that we have challenges with. But I want to try to, raise revenue without hitting the taxpayers on everything. So if there's any interest on this board to go down that road, maybe the charge would be simply an exploratory brainstorming with public feedback, of course, as to, could we do ground leases over there, for instance, with some steel buildings or something, what could we do, Could we put a hat shell over there and have some, events? I don't know. I mean, there's a wide spectrum of opportunities, and I'm sure everyone would chime in and have their opinions. But I'd be interested in a committee to be informed to at least kick the tires on that.
All right, we can talk about that. Mark, you got anything on the selectmen's time? And
No, I totally agree with what Dan was just saying. I mean, now's the time to do it, since they're gonna be running the sewer through there. We could maybe, piggyback a line right off that. I mean, let's get the ball rolling on it, because things are only gonna get worse.
Well, that has always been one of the problems with expanding the business area is the water and sewer, and that has a good water main down Center Street, and now when they run some sewerage down there, it will might open up the area. All right, Kathy, you have anything?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. First of all, I believe the master plan meeting that will focus on that area of our town, if you're interested in it, is coming up very soon. Rebecca, what day is that going to be on?
14th.
May 14th.
To 11:30 a.m.
So I think that's the way to participate in looking at that parcel of land and considering what can be done. What I would like to see us take more of a look at are the funds. Much as we, criticize the school for collecting funds, having E&D, and then putting it in stabilization, the town also collects extra funds on the tax recap that never goes to town meeting. It goes into the overlay account. And historically, that overlay account has always released about 50,000 or so to help us lower the tax rate. This year, we were suddenly told that we can only have 15,000, and the balance in the account, I believe, is possibly at $360,000. So I would like some permission to work outside of the meeting as a subcommittee with another member of the board to take a look at this and see what's going on and how we can continue to use the overlay to help lower the tax rate, because every little bit helps. It may not be a lot of money that we use, but you'd be surprised over time that every amount of money that we either save or use to lower the tax rate helps.
Okay. Jason, anything?
Yes, the committee that you speak of does exist, I'm on it. Like they said, that's the master plan, they're planning for it, they've already advertised to get the public's opinion through a survey. So they are working on that, and I encourage both of you to come to the meeting and fill out the survey and partake in the discussion, because the more input, the better, for sure. But yes, awareness is important, and understanding that the things that are going on in the town are very important. And I had the pleasure of partaking in the exit survey during the vote, and I met a lot of great people, had a lot of great conversations. I enjoyed it a lot.
Bonded with me a little bit?
Yes, yes. And to a resident who rents, she made a comment about not asking the tenants of Groveland to recycle enough, and had some other questions, why we all had bottles of water up here when we could have filtered water in our metal containers,
And that's why I brought this
and
one.
just create a lot less waste. So I took that to heart, shared it with Kathy, and she also took it to heart. And the other thing that was brought up was some of the people don't understand what plastic is recyclable or not, because the list is pretty vague. And we came to the conclusion, as long as it has the little recycle triangle with the arrows on it, it can be recycled. And so that's a really good rule of thumb if you have any questions on whether or not it can be recycled when it comes to plastic.
Let's see if we can get Board of Health to do a PSA on the cable about recycling.
Yes.
I'll talk to them about that.
And then the other thing, in terms of involvement, I think it's real important to be involved, because I spoke to the gentleman that was very upset about the 40B project that went forward in the town. And unfortunately, even though he was frustrated and said he didn't care, I know he cares immensely about it. But our hands were tied because we weren't proactive enough to get the 40B structures built and placed where they could be. So it was forced to be placed where we really didn't want it to be. And I know in the future here, we're facing additional increases potentially. But because we have a town planner, the building inspector, and our new town administrator working with other communities to fight it, we may be able to circumvent it. But instead of zoning areas that potentially wouldn't get developed and try to cheat the system and have it come back and bite us in the ass like the 40B did, we need to constantly proactively look at this, and the staff that we have will continue to do that. So when we move forward, and if something like this gets forced on us, we can make the best of the situation. That's all I have.
No, we're gonna make a comment on the 40. Yeah, I will make a comment on the 40B. I went over there that day probably 3 years ago, when we had like a walkthrough. Mike, were you there that day? And, oh, sometimes I ask questions that, people have asked. My question, there was a man from the state, and he said he was there to look the site over. Do you remember that? He was there to look the site over, to whether it met the requirements, whether they would approve it or not. So my question to him is, how many of these do you turn down? Well, my job is to go around and look at them and to see if they meet the requirements. My question was, sir, how many do you turn down? Well, I haven't turned any down yet. Well, then why are we here? We know it's gonna pass, because you never turn any down. So, anyway, that's what we were up against. I don't have anything.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, go ahead.
can I comment on 40B?
No. No, we want to get out before 10. Other items not reasonably anticipated at the time of posting. I don't think we have any correspondence. I don't think we had anything. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn at 7:58 PM.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor of adjournment?
Qualified, yes.
4.5 in favor.
4.5.
Thank you, everybody.